I want to talk about imposter syndrome. I know that a lot of us with chronic illness struggle with that. Thankfully, I've come such a long way. I've completely overcome it, and I want to tell you how. So, what imposter syndrome used to look like for me is I used to feel a tremendous amount of guilt and even shame for getting the medical care I needed. I would feel like, no, 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 I'm not sick enough. No, I don't really need that. No, me? No, no, no. And what would end up happening was I would push myself way beyond my limits, not get the help I needed until I felt like, okay, I really can't take it anymore. And my doctors were always puzzled, like, why are you saying you're okay when you're not? Um, and that's something that changed this year. And I realized that something is not normal here. Something needs to change. So the first thing I did was I decided I'm going to start calling the bluff. I'm going to get the help I need, and let's see what happens. So the first example is in April when my doctor actually pushed me to go to the ER. She was not comfortable with how I was feeling. She's like, I want you to get evaluated. So I almost was actually going to not listen to her because I was like, no, 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 I don't need the ER. But I went. I called the bluff. I went. They did a CAT scan and they discovered that I had appendicitis. I ended up spending a week in the hospital. I had surgery. And I can't imagine what would have happened if I didn't go to the ER. The next example is my port. So I was the one who brought it up with my doctor because deep down I knew that it was the right thing for me, but I couldn't shake that feeling of guilt for forgetting it. But I decided I'm going to call the bluff. I realized that my doctor wouldn't have put in the order. She wouldn't have agreed to give it to me if she didn't feel like it was necessary. And I was like, let's see what happens if I get it anyway. And as you all know, I cannot imagine what would have happened if I didn't get it. It was the one thing that literally made such a tremendous difference in my journey ever since I got it. I am just so grateful to myself that I called that bluff and I got it anyway. The next example is in the summer when I went, so I was really not feeling well and I pushed myself, and I was like, no, I don't need the ER, no. And then I was like, I'm just gonna go. Worst case, they tell me everything's fine and I'll go home feeling a little calmer. So I went, and sure enough, they did a scan and they said everything's fine, but I was in a lot of pain after the scan. And at first I was gonna be like, oh no, I could push through this. And I was like, I'm gonna speak up. So I told the nurse that I'm in pain. And she comes back and she's like, I'm gonna give you morphine. And at first I was like, oh no, 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 I don't need morphine. I was like, I'm gonna call the bluff. I'm gonna accept the morphine and let's see what happens. And I got the morphine. And the only thing that happened is that I felt better. And each time I called the bluff, it got easier and easier for me until I got to a point in my healing journey when I realized something very powerful. I realized that that feeling of guilt did not come from a place of me doing something wrong. It was somebody else's voice living inside my head. Somebody who used to say these things to me like, oh no, you don't really need that. No, you're fine. You don't really need that. And that probably came from a place of me needing to get that help would inconvenience them. And with the way I was conditioned, I needed to take care of other people's feelings and needs before my own. Instead of being taught to pay attention to my needs and trust my needs, trust myself, I was taught to take care of other people. Once I recognized that, I was like, oh, okay, I can hand that right back to that person. I can learn to trust myself. And if my needs inconvenience anyone, then it's on them to speak up in a healthy way. They don't have to inconvenience themselves for me to get my needs taken care of. But I will take care of myself. I'm an adult now, and I can. And I can say at this point, I feel no guilt. No guilt. No shame for needing medical care. I trust myself. If I need the care, I get it because I'm doing what's best for me.